Wall Street Memes Casino
I'm fine.
and Sportsbook.
Welcome to episode 45 of Talk Smart with
Pugh
and McCart. That is young Joe Pugh. I'm Andrew McCart. Back to the Zoom calls, Joe. It was fun having the face-to-face interaction Leeds fight week, Taylor Catterall, but back to these Zoom calls, man. How you been?
Good, mate. It was fun while it lasted, sitting in the world's smallest two-man chair. But now we're back to being, 500 miles away from each other.
Exactly. Listen, I'm sure we'll get a on-camera podcast done very, very shortly. I think we'll be probably on more fight weeks. So it was fun. I enjoyed your antics. I enjoyed the ice cream that we had. I enjoyed the pad work. Gave you some pad. Tell you what, for a southpaw, you can hit, you can bang, young man.
Appreciate it, mate. Did you enjoy the snoring?
Listen, you kept it quiet. You weren't too bad. You weren't too bad. I'll give you that. Well done, yeah. Because I thought you'd be worse than what you are, but you weren't too bad at all. Yeah, not much to talk about in terms of what's happened this week. But last week, I suppose we can run it back and circle back to it. That 5v5 show I was at in Saudi Arabia. Before we talk about the fights itself, Joe, 10-0. 10-0. I don't think anyone saw that coming for Eddie.
We both predicted a Hearn win.
I know.
I think if I remember rightly, a close, narrow, but Hearn win. And we was wrong. A lot of people were wrong. I think Eddie Hearn said this week it was about 50-1 for it being a clean sweep. It was shocking, mate. But you was there. How did you find it?
It was good, mate. You know what? When we got to the arena and the first fight came out, which we'll talk about, which is Willie Hutchinson and Craig Richards. Once that fight was over, I was like, this has opened up the show. We've still got Nick Ball, Ray Ford, Hamza Shiraz, Dmitry Bivol, Pergovic, Dubois, and Zhang Wilder. I was like, this is crazy. This might be the best card I've watched live, and it proved to be. To be honest, it was a fantastic card, and yeah, it was just the fact that Willie Hutchinson and Craig Richards was the first fight. Normally, you know what it's like, Joe, when we go to these shows. Normally, you'd get like a young prospect coming through in a 4-rounder fighting a journeyman. Not really excitement, you know what I mean? But I mean that was something else, that card. And I suppose we'll jump straight into it. Willie Hutchinson, Craig Richards. I think this is the fight that surprised a lot of people. I think this is, if anyone had accumulator on, I think this was probably the one that they slipped up on, and it was the first fight of the night. Were you surprised at Willie Hutchinson beating Craig Richards?
Yeah, I was. I'll be honest. I thought it was going to be a close fight. I'll be honest. I think speaking to people, a lot of people kind of thought it was a bit of a foregone conclusion that Craig Richards was going to get that first win for Matchroom. I didn't think that was the case. I thought it was going to be a close fight. You have to people forget Willie Hutchinson's amateur pedigree because of the Lennox Clark loss, but he was so drained of the weight, and he mentioned he was in a dark period of his life. He seemed happy. He seemed excitable and relaxed throughout fight week. And yeah, I'm glad. And I'm glad for Willie Hutchinson and Craig Richards. He has so many comebacks. I'm sure he definitely will be able to come back again.
Definitely. And when I was talking to people over in Saudi, because I know Willie, you know what I mean? Obviously, he's Scottish and whatnot, and he's Scotland's only world amateur champion. A lot of people don't even know that he was a world amateur champion, albeit junior, but it's still an achievement within itself. European, British, Scottish champion. He was an elite amateur, a very, very decorated elite amateur. So, and people forget that. And he showed a lot of what he's about. He's got that sort of, I think Spencer Brown said it best, he's got that Tyson Fury-esque, where he hits you with a shot and then he'll take a walk. Do you know what I mean? That's exactly what Tyson does. And he's got that style. He switched quite a lot. Probably bamboozled Craig a little bit in terms of switching to southpaw. But like you said it there, Craig's been in there with Boatsi and Bivol, and he's always had comeback, and he's had great wins as well. So I'm sure he'll come back. But yeah, great win for Willie Hutchinson, who looks like he's fighting Boatsi next. If that goes ahead, if everything aligns perfectly for both of them for that WBO interim title, I believe it is. So yeah, it's looking good for Willie. After that Lennox Clark loss, people written him off, I think, and he's turned it around, which is good to see.
Yeah, look, Willie done a better job of beating Craig Richards than Joshua Buatsi did. So is Willie Hutchinson the favourite going into that fight?
Very good question. But listen, styles make fight. Styles.
Exactly.
Zhang,
I'm playing devil's advocate.
Zhang looked comfortable in there against Wilder. Wilder made Tyson uncomfortable at points. He dropped him 3 times in the 3 fights. Do you know what I mean? In the 3rd fight, he dropped him twice. So, you know, styles make fights. Do you know what I mean? And you might say he's a favourite, but I don't think with this, we talked about amateur pedigree there. I think Buatsi has slightly better pedigree and he's fought slightly better opposition.
More wins, more good wins.
Yes, exactly. So maybe Buatsi will be the slight favourite. I wouldn't say he was a heavy favourite. I would say he's a slight favourite going into it. Yeah, like I said to you, that kicked off the night and I was buzzing. I was like, if this is the first fight of the night, I'm excited to see what's ahead. And the next fight was Nick Ball going in against Ray Ford.
The best fight.
Great fight. Nick is exactly the wrecking ball. Some people have nicknames that don't make sense. You know what I mean? Big Bang Zhang makes sense. The wrecking ball makes sense. Ray Ford's called the Savage, but I can't really see why he's called the Savage. Maybe Slick Ray or something like that. The Savage doesn't really suit Ray in that sense. But yeah, great fight. Exactly what that old saying, exactly what you see in the tin with Nick Ball. He ain't going to change for nobody. All you need to do is just perfect what he's got. Because you know what you're getting with Nick. Do you know what I mean? You're not going to get anything different. You're not going to get a back foot switch hit or anything like that. You're going to get a come forward, as the name suggests, wrecking ball. And that's what we got.
Yeah, look, he is absolutely phenomenal. Every single time he seems to get in the ring, he amazes me that little bit more. Going back to 2 fights ago, I was at the Isaac Dogboe fight, and I think a lot of people going into that had a couple of question marks over Nick because it was a big step up. Isaac had been there, seen it, and done it, and he just need walk him down like he's done against every other opponent. And then you step up against Vargas, and he did walk him down. Obviously, we know the decision didn't go his way, and I think he took a lot of experience from that because the first 5-6 rounds against Vargas, he was struggling to kind of make that distance. And I know Vargas was a lot taller than Ray Ford, but Ray Ford's probably rangier. So I think he took a lot from that, and that all led to what was an excellent performance. And it was split decision, but I did have Nick Ball winning. But I think, as it was alluded to after the fight, and probably even pre-fight, that was Ray Ford's last fight at featherweight, and now we'll move up.
To be fair, you can almost sense that Ray was very tight the week on the Monday of that fight week. He was. I know you fighters say that they're making it easy, but you could almost tell with Ray that it was getting difficult, and especially those sort of like, especially on a Monday when you're feeling tight. When I was talking to him, he just didn't seem. Normally he's engaging with me because I've known him for a long time, Ray. Normally he's engagement and have a little bit of laugh, but he just didn't have that spark in his voice. And obviously the weight was a struggle for him, but one last fight at 126 to defend his title, and he done it. So, and he gave a good account of himself. It was a split decision.
Oh, it was a great fight.
And it was it's what you prefer. He landed some sickening shots. I don't think he broke Nick's nose, but he landed a sweet backhand sort of corkscrew uppercut, which landed flush on Nick's nose, and the body shots that he was sinking in was tough. And yeah, it was a great fight. And I think Nick after it said to me that he wants that green and gold belt because it belongs to him. Obviously, he wants that Vargas rematch, and hopefully we can see it. But I don't think Vargas, the way his emotions were and the way he was feeling after that fight, he was too happy with the tactics of Nick Ball. Do you know what I mean? So we'll wait and see what happens there. Yeah, and then we had Hamza Shiraz versus Amo Williams. Hamza's a problem. I'll just leave it at that. Hamza is a problem.
Oh, I love him. Absolutely love him. Another one that's kind of proved people wrong, really, since the Bradley Skeet performance, where obviously weren't the best, and then there was controversy surrounding it. But since he's gone over to the States, he's been absolutely phenomenal. Frank Warren said it in the week, which I really appreciate. He's invested into his own career. He's gone out there, he's got the support, and yeah, he's spending money on himself to make himself better. And we're seeing improvement upon improvement and upon improvement. And that jab is just something special. And yeah, want to see a really big fight for him now.
Thing is, there was more to him. I was mentioning the jab to him all week, and I was saying to him, but your jab against a southpaw opponent in Amo Williams, it's hard to negate over a lead
Yeah.
hand. He says, yeah, but I've got a backhand. And you've seen it that it was sort of like the backhand uppercut and stuff that was working from him there. And he was very, very disciplined because he kept his right hand tight when, because Amo is left hand heavy. Do you know what I mean? And he kept that right hand tight so he wasn't getting clipped. And it was a disciplined, well executed performance from Hamza Shiraz. And he's in the middleweight division right now, which is screaming for a household name. We've got Erislandy Lana, Carlos Adames, who I think is fighting next week or so, or this week, I can't quite remember. So it's screaming for that household name. You got Janabek, again, great fighters, but they're not names that just grip you. Do you know what I mean? Hamza Shiraz is a likable guy, very, very talented. And like I said, the middleweight division for him right now is wide open, and all them champions are beatable. Do you know what I mean? So he can do it. I think he can do it.
They are beatable. I think Janabek, he's maybe a bit of an inconsistent fighter, where one fight he looks out of this world, and then we see fights a little bit like the Denzel Bentley performance where he didn't look at his best. Yeah, so it depends what Janabek we get, but hopefully, realistically, it's going to be a world title shot or Chris Eubank Jr. if they can make that Chris Eubank Jr. fight. I don't think they will, but if anyone can make it, it's His Excellency. So money talks.
Money talks, but even at that, I think the money that Chris Eubank is going to demand, do you know what I mean? It's going to be, and like I say, he's
got to fight someone, though.
Well, that's it. He does have to fight someone, but it's. Listen, I think I think Chris fights for money. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you here. I know being a world champion and legacy and stuff like that is for a lot of fighters, but I think now Chris is at the stage of his career where he wants the fights that make the most money, and that's what fighters do when they come to the tail end of their career. They start thinking about the future. They might only have 2-3 fights left, so it is about the money, and that's just a fact of the matter. You can't really deny that. I'm just being honest. And I think that's where Chris is on his career right now. He is, give me a name, give me a fight, and this is what I'm wanting. I want that. If you can't give me that, I'll look somewhere else. I'm not going to fight your fighter. And I think that's where he's at. So it'll be a tough one to make. Listen, I wouldn't mind it. I'd like to see it. But yeah, I think Hamza Shiraz is definitely a problem. He's going to be a world champion, Britain's next world champion. We've already got a new world champion in Nick Ball. And yeah, great performance. And like I said, the card was just getting better and better throughout the night, because when you're thinking, we almost forgot about Bivol coming out. We almost forgot that Bivol was fighting that whole fight week because he wasn't part of the 5v5. So Bivol's probably my favourite fighter. Him and Jaya Pataya, those two right now are my favourite fighters. I love watching them fight. And yeah, good performance. You could easily take your eye off the ball because that Bert Biev undisputed fights dangling over there somewhere. And we've seen it in recent months with Tyson Fury having that Usyk fight over there and then fighting Ngannou. People said he took his eye off the ball. He wasn't really taking it serious, and that's why the sort of lackluster performance in Tyson Fury. But yeah, Dmitry Bivol was just very, very disciplined, very, very focused. He knows what's ahead of him. And it was a disciplined, well executed again, another performance where he went out there, jab, backhand, done the business, and stopped Malik Zinad, who was a very, very heavy-handed puncher going into this fight.
He was game as well.
His game, yeah. His game as a badger, so he was. But yeah, great performance from Dmitry Bivol. And like I say, October 12th, undisputed light heavyweight championship against Artur Beterbiev. Let's do it. I cannot wait for that.
Yeah, I can't wait. Let's just get it now. As you say, it's easy. It's an easy banana skin, but someone like Dmitry Bivol don't have banana skins. And much respect to Zinad. He did really bring it. But yeah, I did feel a little bit sorry for Dmitry Bivol throughout fight week, because it really did go under the radar for the 5v5, and even the people who I was watching it with, who are more casual boxing fans, wanted that to be over just so we could get back to the heavyweights. And we did get serious heavyweight power going into Dubois Hrgovic. I did put my neck on the line and say Dubois was going to get the knockout.
I said Dubois, to be honest. I thought Dubois would do it when I was there. I did say that, and I said that to I think it was Andy Puro I said it to. Yeah, Daniel Dubois, man,
Love him.
Fair
Great.
play to the kid, man. Honestly, fair play to the man, because he was a quitter after the Joe Joyce loss. He was a quitter after the Usyk loss. You're a two-time quitter. You quit. You probably had all these demons to overcome. Went in that Jarrell Miller fight, an underdog. What, 3 stone lighter? And he dug deep in that fight to show that he can dig deep, and he isn't a quitter. And then obviously the Hrgovic fight, just the different things he was doing. He was level changing. He wasn't like the normal heavyweights that just fight upright. He was dipping, coming up over the top of the right hand, double jab, backhand to getting close, and switching his feet around to go to the body. Something you don't see with heavyweights. Heavyweights stand in front of each other and just land 1-2s and big hooks and boom, boom. Tyson Fury are normally, Usyk's the same. They give you angles. And Dubois, fair play to him, he was giving Hrgovic angles that Hrgovic probably hadn't seen before. Probably had seen before, having the amateur career that he's had. But you know what I'm trying to say? It was nice to see that sort of skill set from Daniel. And I'll probably give Kieran Farrell credit for this, because the way his pad work, the way he teaches his fighters is to switch his feet around, to shift his feet, to shift his weight, to come around the angle. So maybe that having Kieran Farrell in his camp for the last 12 weeks, it was, I think, has helped Daniel get that, or just open the door for that skill set to come out. And it was a great performance. To stop somebody like Hrgovic was phenomenal. And obviously there is going to be talk about the Josh. We'll circle back to that, because I don't want to talk about the 5v5 first before we circle back to the Wembley show and what might headline that. But yeah, Daniel Dubois, Hrgovic, what did you make of it?
Look, I love Daniel Dubois, as you say, come back from a lot of adversity, the 2-time quitter. But a little bit of a cause for concern how many right hands he was eating. If he does fight Joshua, he can't eat that many right hands in the first 2 rounds. That was quite worrying, but it didn't move him. And he just come back, and as you said, as you got into rounds 3, 4, 5, he was starting to move a lot more. And as soon as the eye opened, I think he really showed like he wasn't going to let off, and he didn't let off. And he got the best win of his career, and kind of put a stop to Filip Hrgovic, who a lot of people have been saying is the next big thing in the heavyweight division, who's been the next big thing in the heavyweight division for 2, 3, 4 years now. So Dubois is well back on track to kind of the heights people thought he was going to reach before even the Joe Joyce fight.
And like I said, we'll circle back to this fight at the end with the Joshua and Dubois being talked about, but we'll jump straight into Zhang versus Wilder. To be honest, I was almost this is why Eddie's such a good promoter. This is why he's such a good salesman, promoter, whatever you want to say. He had me. The way he was riling up Wilder, the way he was talking about Wilder getting that knockout, I was like, Eddie, I believe you, mate. I mean, you say it with such gumption, you say it with such authority. I'm like, this man's telling the truth. So I had Wilder beating Zhang, and I was well wrong, just because I blame Eddie.
Did I?
To be fair, when I saw the weigh-in and Zhang was 5 stone heavier, I was almost like changing my mind. I was like, there's no danger he can knock that guy out. He's 5 stone heavier than him. That's just ridiculous. But I stuck to my guns. I thought Wilder might do it. But I don't know what the tactics were for Wilder. He didn't detonate that right hand. I wonder if he's gun shy now. I wonder if like the Fury fights have taken a lot out of him. You remember the Hellenius fight when he knocked him out? And it was such a bad knockout for Hellenius. He was crying and this, that, and the next thing. And I don't know if he lost that. If Killer Instinct, what the word I'm looking for, then I wonder if he's lost that about him after those Fury fights and the Hellenius fight. And he just didn't pull the trigger. Even when Zhang was closing the gap, when he was up against the ropes, Wilder, when he went into that mid-range, you're almost thinking to yourself, throw it. Throw the right hand, because he's shortened the gap. You're not in the middle of the ring now. You've got nowhere to go. Yang wants to get in close to that mid-short range to land his shots. As soon as he closes that gap, detonate that right hand. He never did it. And I said to somebody ringside, I was like, I wonder if Wilder's looked at the Parker fight, maybe the Jerry Forrest fight, and thought, I need to take him in the later rounds so he tires, and then I'll detonate that right hand. But I think he should have maybe got his respect a little bit early on, let him taste the right hand in rounds 1, 2, and 3 or whatever, and then taking him into the latter rounds. It was yeah, feel for Wilder, because he's been a fun guy to watch for over the last few years. But Zhilei Zhang, big bang, just again, that name, like Nick Ball, the Wrecking Ball, it just suits Big Bang perfectly. He's just an absolute monster of a man.
Yeah, I probably don't feel for Deontay Wilder. I wouldn't feel for a world champion of 6 years who's probably earned the amount of money he has done and had the biggest nights. But he was a shell of his former self, I thought. Like, and whenever he did throw that right hand, it was quite a meek, straight right hand, like which I think back in his heyday it used to be the unorthodox kind of explosive over the top right hand. But this is quite straight. It is quite of a standard right hand, and I think he generates the power from that wild swing, and it didn't look like it was going to come. And when the knockout did happen, it was like, okay, wow, that's it. Bizarre with the turn, and obviously you've got to protect yourself at all times. And that killer blow was a killer blow, and it happened so fast. Every time I watch Zhang fight, even in the Parker loss, I'm still mesmerised by the hand speed of someone so big. And obviously we know he's not got the best footwork, so fastest footwork, but the hand speed so fast. And I love Zhang. I think he's probably one of the funniest people in boxing. You see it at the post-fight press conference. His limited English he makes the most of. And yeah, I want him in another big fight, and that's the great thing about all these heavyweight fights happening.
I want him in a big fight as well, and I'll probably get shot down for this. But listen, Martin Bakoli been calling him out. I know he's got Jared Anderson coming up in August 3rd, it seems. But I was looking at that. You've got Zhang, who's 6'6", Bakoli, who's 6'6". Zhang's 285 pounds, Bakoli's 285 pounds. None of them, their fighting style, they don't take a backward step. They walk forward. They walk their opponents down. That excites me, that fight. I just hope that maybe the stars align and we can get that fight, because I think as a heavyweight fight, that is a tasty fight when you've got two giants. I mean, the heavyweights are giants, but those two are enormous men, and they'll have to reinforce the ring, strengthen the ropes, put extra bolts, screws, and nuts to make sure that ring doesn't collapse when you've got them two men boxing in the ring. But yeah, that's probably a fight that can be made in the near future. All going well for Bakoli on August 3rd, because it looks like he's fighting. Well, it's been announced that he's fighting Anderson. So, yeah, the heavyweight division's booming right now. It really, really is. And I said to you, Joe, that I will circle back to it because there's ongoing discussions or talks have begun, but I think it's on. I think it's happening. I think Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois, if they can get it for the IBF world title, Wembley, September, I mean, that just makes sense. And I think it is going to happen. And yeah, for us boxing fans here in the UK, that's a fight we want to see.
I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that it's Dubois, if I'm being honest. I think there's probably other options, because I think, if we're being really honest, like everyone wanted Wilder to win and maybe go into the Wilder fight because of what's happening with the IBF, because it is uncertain now, and it didn't look like it looked like a certainty that the winner of that fight, if not for the title, would be for the title next. Now we don't know, because Usyk's obviously handed in the request, and Hrgovic has been waiting a long time. Dubois isn't waiting a long time, if you know what I mean. So I think Dubois is probably favourite. I think there's other options. I think Zhang is a viable option. I think Parker rematch is a great option. I'd love to see Parker versus Zhang too, because Zhang looked in a lot better condition, I thought. So I would love to see that. But yeah, there's plenty of fights on the table now. And
I just feel
realistically, maybe Dubois.
I just feel with Zhang, the talks about him fighting in China, he's still got that rematch clause. I think he's going to activate it because he said he wants that Parker rematch. Yeah. I think that's probably where it will go. Just everything makes sense, because you're fighting in London, Wembley, the National Stadium, 80,000 people. Joshua can probably do it against anybody, but when you've got a dance partner who's also British, who's coming off great wins against Jarrell Miller, who had beef with Anthony Joshua, Hrgovic, who's called out Anthony Joshua for so long, and you've got this quiet man who's now, even though he's not the best trash talker, he's starting to come out his shell a little bit.
He's funny.
And you know what I mean? And he's stopped his last two opponents. Yeah, I just think it makes sense for what they want. It's an Eddie Hearn versus Warren fighter as well. Do you know what I mean? I just think that marketability, getting people involved, getting the casual fan interested. think that makes sense. And I think that's the fight we will get. I know there's talks ongoing and boxing's a crazy sport and anything can happen, but I just think that's the only fight that makes sense at Wembley in September. Do you know what I mean?
We get a press conference on the 26th of June, so we haven't got long to wait, only a few weeks. I'm sure I'll be there in London for that, mate. And yeah, we ain't got long to find out. And realistically, when you look at it, we haven't got long until the 21st of September.
No.
Boxing is going so fast at the minute, and boxing makes the years go faster at the minute, I think.
Yeah, and it gives you a bald head and a grey beard as well, mate. So.
Well, I'm not quite there yet. I think we've got a bit of receding, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's the greyness, man. You got a wee bit of grey there. Is that what I'm seeing?
Not yet. But that's hair dye.
Yeah, good stuff. I might have. That's why I shaved my hair. Yeah, it's been a quiet week, but it's always been fun. Following boxing in terms of like even you were at Soccer Age yesterday. I seen all the good interviews that you've had with Danny Dyer, Eddie Hearn, Paddy McGuinness. Do you know what I mean? So it's been a fun time out there. The content still keeps coming on IFL TV, so make sure you tune in. No matter if it's a quiet week, we're always up to something, Joe, aren't we?
Yeah, it's been a fun couple of days actually. We had the Metro Media Day barbecue on Wednesday for Johnny Fisher versus Alan Babbage, which is always great fun. You had a bull rodeo, the punch machine, the Forged Irish Stout pub. Excellent barbecue food as you would expect from Matchroom, and yeah, that was a very fun day.
Right up your street, isn't it, son? Big barbecue.
Fillet steaks from the barbecue, mate. You can't say better than that. But and then we got invited to Soccer Age yesterday, which was excellent. The amount of names there was phenomenal. Everyone, every star in kind of British culture to world football legends, and I think there's interviews out now with Hearn, Dyer, Stephen Bartlett, Paddy McGuinness, John Obi Mikel with Hearn, and then later we've got Mo Farah, Tommy Fury, Tony Bellew and Sam Thompson. Yes, a lot of content. And you was at your show, St Andrew's Boxing Club, yes, Andy?
Yes, I was there last night. It was a great little celebration of Willie Lemon's life, a 3-fight dinner card. Yeah, it was just amazing to see. Anthony Crawler was there, past opponent. Ricky Bunns was there, past opponent. Yeah, it was just great to see that because Willie was a legend up here. Do you know what I mean? Maybe not in the worldwide boxing, but in Scotland, the guy was just a fighting man. Great guy to be around. And yeah, St Andrews have now got the Willie Lemon Boxer of the Year award. So all the fighters within the St Andrews stable coming to the end of the season, which is now until they start up again in September, a fighter from the St Andrews stable will be awarded the Willie Lemon Fight of the Year award every June from now on. So that was good to see. Great fights. My friend of mine, Matt McHale, won this Commonwealth Silver title, so he's in line for that. It's super flyweight, so it's good to see that kid. I've known Matty since he was a young boy at 13 years old, maybe. So yeah, it was good. Like I say, no boxing this weekend. We got Michael Hunter against Cheney out in Florida, I believe. But other than that,
something a little bit different. Savannah Marshall PFL debut.
PFL debut in Newcastle as well tomorrow night, I believe. Yep. So
yes, a little bit different.
A little bit different. I'd like to watch that. I'd like to see how Savannah gets on with the jiu-jitsu and the kicking and the knee and the elbows and stuff like that. So I might give that a little watch. But for you, Joe, you're back at it at some point, I'm sure. And then yeah, I'll just sit at my house all day for June until I go on holiday on the 29th.
Reactpool next week. Reactpool Bilham Smith. Also showing Bolton next week, I believe. And then and then we just keep rolling, mate. I think they come thick and fast after this week. End of quietness as we die down from the 5v5.
Yep, definitely. And like I said, July, we've got fights in July. We've got the Fisher Babbage, but yeah, loads to look forward to. And yeah, we'll try and squeeze another one of these in. Hopefully something kicks off or some news lands so we can talk about it. Until then, Joe, enjoy the rest of your Friday and I'll speak to you soon, brother.
Yep, enjoy your weekend, mate. I'll see you soon.
Thanks, Joe.
Wall Street Memes Casino.
I'm fine.
And Sportsbook.